Not tracking money. You ever feel like you're working hard, doing everything right, but somehow your money just disappears? That was me for years. I wasn't reckless, I wasn't buying crazy things, but at the end of every month, the result was the same: confusion. And that confusion comes from one simple mistake: not tracking your money. The problem isn't that you don't care. The problem is you rely on memory instead of data. You think you know where your money goes, but your brain only remembers the obvious expenses, not the repeated ones. And that's where most of your money actually disappears. So I changed one thing. I tracked every dollar for 30 days. No budgeting, no limits, just pure observation. And suddenly everything became clear. I saw patterns I didn't expect. I saw emotional triggers. I saw habits repeating every single week. That's the key insight. Awareness creates control. Once you see your real behavior, your decisions automatically start changing. If you want to fix your money, don't start with discipline. Start with visibility. Lifestyle creep. The most dangerous thing about earning more money is that it tricks you into thinking you're progressing, when in reality you're staying in the same place. I used to think every upgrade was a reward: better food, better clothes, better lifestyle, but I didn't realize I was slowly raising the cost of my life. That's lifestyle creep. It doesn't feel like a mistake, it feels like success. But over time, your expenses grow to match your income, and suddenly you're earning more but feeling exactly the same. The shift for me was simple but powerful. I created a rule: every time my income increases, I lock 50% of that increase. I don't touch it. I save it, invest it, or use it to reduce future pressure. The other 50% I can enjoy. This creates a gap, and that gap is everything. Because financial freedom doesn't come from income, it comes from the difference between what you earn and what you spend. If that gap doesn't grow, your life doesn't change. Emotional spending. Most people don't realize this, but a huge part of their spending has nothing to do with logic. It's emotional. I wasn't buying things because I needed them. I was buying them because I felt something. Stress, boredom, frustration. All of it pushed me towards spending. And the worst part is, it works. For a moment, you feel better. That's why it becomes addictive. But here's the truth. You're not solving the problem. You're just delaying it while making your financial situation worse. That's the loop. So I introduced a simple system: the 24-hour rule. Every non-essential purchase waits, no exceptions. And what happens is interesting. Most of the time, the urge disappears because emotion fades. And when it fades, logic comes back. This one habit breaks emotional spending at its core. It doesn't require discipline, it requires delay. And once you stop reacting emotionally, your money starts staying with you. Ignoring small expenses. People think big mistakes ruin their finances. That's not true. It's small habits, repeated daily. That's what destroys your money over time. I used to ignore small expenses completely. Coffee, delivery, subscriptions, it all felt harmless. But when I actually calculated it, the numbers were shocking. What felt small daily became massive yearly. That's the trap. Small doesn't mean harmless. Small means repeated, and repetition creates impact. So I changed the way I looked at spending. Instead of asking, "Is this cheap?" I asked, "Is this worth repeating 300 times a year?" That question changed everything. Then I audited all recurring expenses. If I didn't use something weekly, I removed it immediately. No hesitation, because small leaks don't feel dangerous, but they drain you the most. Fixing them doesn't require more income. It requires awareness and action. Delaying investing. I'll start later. That was my excuse for years, and it sounds logical. It sounds responsible, but it's actually one of the most expensive habits you can have. Because investing is not about how much you start with, it's about how early you start. Every year you delay, you lose compounding, and compounding is the main driver of long-term growth. The earlier you start, the less effort you need later. So I changed my approach completely. I stopped waiting for the perfect moment. I started small, and I automated it. That's it. Because consistency beats size, always. You don't need to impress anyone with your investments. You need to build the habit. And once the habit is there, growth becomes automatic. Waiting feels safe, but it's the most expensive decision you can make, relying on income only. For a long time, my entire financial strategy was simple: earn more. That was it. But that approach has a serious flaw. It makes you dependent on one source. Income is fragile. It can stop, decrease, or become unstable. And if your whole system depends on it, everything becomes risky. So I changed my strategy. I built layers. First, emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. Second, investments. Third, there are skills that can generate additional income if needed, because real stability is not about how much you earn, it's about how many ways you can survive. Once I built those layers, everything changed. Money stopped feeling stressful, because now one problem wouldn't destroy everything. That's the difference between income and security, trying to look rich. There's a hidden pressure to look successful, to show progress, to prove something. And that pressure makes people spend money on things that don't actually improve their financial situation. I did that too. Better clothes, better lifestyle, visible upgrades. It felt good, but it didn't build anything real. That's the trap. Looking rich is expensive, and it slows down actual wealth. So I flipped my mindset. Instead of asking, "Does this look good?" I asked, "Does this make me stronger?" That one question filters almost every bad decision, because real wealth is not visible. It's built quietly. It doesn't need validation. Once I stopped trying to impress people, my money started working for me instead of against me. Avoiding finances. Avoidance is one of the biggest reasons people stay stuck financially. I used to avoid checking my accounts, avoid looking at numbers, avoid facing reality because it felt uncomfortable. But avoiding doesn't reduce stress. It increases it because uncertainty grows in your head. So I created a simple system. Weekly check, same day, same time, 10 minutes, no emotions, just numbers, balances, expenses, trends. And over time, something changed. It stopped being scary because clarity removes fear. And once you understand your situation, you can control it. That's when everything shifts. So ask yourself, which of these habits are still in your life? Because that's exactly where your money is going.